Good morning. Today is the 14th of November and I'm going to go through my trade plan for today. What a move we had earlier, 8:30. Let's go into the 5 minute. Look at that for a move. What a big move. I don't think I've seen a big move before. So that gets my data candle. Let's just change that to, and we can keep an eye on that data drop. So what I'm watching for is see what happens when it gets down to this 50% area. I've got it on there, so I'd like to see what's happened. Not got any strategy yet for this, but something I'm working on. So it leads me on to my levels for today. We've blown through much of the areas I was watching, and we had a level at 44.65. It's now gone through. That's probably not far off the 50% actually. Let's go back to the 5. Yeah, a bit below. Looking at the daily, let's go into the daily so we can see where we are with this big candle. Pretty bullish still, I'd say. Let's get my pen out. I just rebooted my machine, so you can see this downward trend line, and probably by no coincidence we come straight into that area. There's an area that's been on watch for some time. So what I'm looking for is probably hard to say this, but possibly a rejection at the pre-market highs, which is probably where we are right now. But that'd be a very high risk rejection area. Whether we get a break and retest, I'm trying to get my pen to load so I can draw on screen. A few technical glitches today, sorting out websites and stuff. I was a bit late getting on. Oh, I'm not sure where my pen is. Okay, no worries. We will crack on. This is open. And let's start again. Sorry about this. So I'll just close the process down. So what levels am I watching really? We've got this area here which I'll go into the 16 minute, which is easier to see. Oh, here goes, my pen finally decided to load. Move that out of the way. Right, that's better. So now I can mark up the screen. So I've been watching this area for a potential reject, and that area is... The strange thing is I had all my levels. I think I don't know what's gone on. I had some levels around this. I was only looking at them an hour ago. Let's just draw it in anyway, so we've got a level. So we're watching 40, right, look at that, 4,500, that's a nice round number. So that's, if we do break above this trend line, then 4,500 is the next area to watch for. And the reason I like that is because last time we got to 4,500, or the last time we were there, we broke through, we held above it for a bit, and then we had this nice big negative reaction to it. So that's kind of why I'm watching that area, 4,500 to 4,507. And that's probably the only rejection I can really see, which is worth keeping an eye on. If we go above these areas, we've got this big area of volume on the volume profile. You can see all this area here is a higher area of condensed volume. So potentially looking at resistance. In fact, I was looking at level 2 on bookmap earlier. Let's see how's that compare. So we've got nothing really yet. We don't see orders coming until after the market opens anyway. But we can see 4,500. There's sellers lined up there, and we've got big area sellers here, which is 44.87 through to 44.90, and potentially some at 44.93, 94 area. So 4,500 has got to be the area to watch for today. Potentially, where's liquidity? We could see the buyers are still looking pretty strong. They have done, even though I think the daily looks weak. So going back into the daily again, out for a run. We've had all these around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 candles up, and only 2 candles down, which didn't even make a dent in it. Even that candle there is looking pretty bullish for a red candle. So probably are due a bit of a pullback, but when that happens, we don't know, we just keep playing the chart, and that's what I'm doing. So that's our trend lines we're watching. Until we break these areas, then we're still bullish. So potentially any areas on daily, no, that's the best area on daily. What's that? That's 45.60 area. So we've got two areas to watch really, 45.60 and 4,500. They're the areas to watch for a potential rejection. And for bounces, if we can come back down into this daily area, 44.66, be looking for a bounce around that area. So what's that look like in the hourly? In the hourly, yeah, so it's right above there. This is no longer a supply zone, which has been for such a long time. It's now a demand zone. So if we come back down into 44.30 through to 44.20 area, I'll be waiting for a potential bounce. And I can get rid of, we could keep an eye on this still, this level, and it's a very, no, I'm going to get rid of it. It's a minor level, I don't need it, adds to the clutter. So two real levels, we're watching for a bounce here, and also we've got 44.40, that area is potential, we've used that number. 44.40 has been an important area in the past, and we're looking for a rejection at 4,500. They're the areas to watch. And for a high risk rejection, this right hand shoulder for this head and shoulders pattern, 4,500, and we've got this downward trend line as well. So I'll probably watch the market and see what happens when we open. Normally I'll be more prepared and have my scenarios ready, but basically if we push up in the market and we get to 4,500, I'll be looking for a reject around that area. If we pull down or we sell off, then I'm waiting for a bounce at 44.37 through to 44.30 area, and I've basically to continue the trend up. If we are anywhere in between here, it's going to be a difficult one, and I probably want to avoid it really. If we've got any areas of resistance or support in this area, and we've potentially got 44, and that's exactly where we are right now. So again, so if I mark that area, let's mark it in, I'm looking for area of confluence, and what I'm looking at is the tops of this area here, bottoms of these candles, kind of the top of there, bottoms of these candles, and we're not far off it anyway, so I'm going to get rid of that because that's the pre-market high. So yeah, so there's not, I don't think it's particularly great areas for bounces and rejections, or definitely rejections really. A pre-market high rejection, very high risk. Maybe consider a break and retest if we sell it, if we see it selling on. But we've got this very big daily trend area, and we're right at it now, so we all want to see it play out and see what happens. So not probably one of those days where you want to sit back and wait for things to happen. One thing we've not looked at is the news. What have we got going on today? We had that big one today at 8, and we've got Fed speakers today as well, so yeah, it's going to be a funny day today. So I would just probably play it safe and don't take a trade unless it's an A+, and A+ would be 4,500 rejection, 44.28 bounce, that area. Like I said, that's a high risk rejection area there because of how strong we were in our news, but maybe pre-market high rejection, watch it for a pullback down. And they're the only plays I'm watching for. Anything else I'll play by ear as it happens. SPY next, probably very similar. We've broken that area what we was watching in the pre-market. 450, I think that's the next area. So round number as well, 450. We've broken over, interesting, we've broken over the daily, this daily downward trend line. So potentially wait for a rejection at 450 or a break and retest of this trend line back down at 440 to 442. Potentially back down here at 440. In fact, you've got all this area, or if it does see weak, then this entire area is a particular bounce because of the tops of this area here. And I think that's it really for SPY. Qs, I've not looked at NASDAQ yet. We're right at an area of resistance right now, or demand, or supply. Let's just mark it in. Which I would say around about there. So I'm looking for the most amount of touches on that line I can get, you know, where the pivots are. Yeah, about there. And that's exactly where we are right now. And then the next area is the high at 387, 388 area. So we're right at a potential rejection area. So either a high risk rejection, or if we're going to go with a trend, a break and retest, exactly where we are now. So that's one scenario, or the rejection if we pull back up into the area. Bounce area is here, 378, and we can also watch these areas down here, 374 for another bounce as well. Could be an area of confidence there as well. What area is that? That is 375 is a higher risk bounce, but you could say if it bounces at 375, we've got the tops there, bottoms of there, and we've got the upward trailing 50 moving average as well. So we could watch for a bounce there as well. NASDAQ. Another data candle was massive today. I don't think I've seen a data candle at 8:30 that big. So usually I'll have a few levels lined up from the previous few days, but it's gone through all of the levels today. Okay, so NASDAQ, we've got these tops here. Let's just put that in, and we've got the high as well. Let's just come a bit closer. Yeah, I think that's about the best place. So what I'm looking for as many touches of the candles we can see. And there's no bottom candles, it's all top candles, so I'm trying to get as many touches of the pivots. And that brings us to a rejection area of 15886. That area for rejection. And I'm not even sure what these are for now. Get rid of that one. And if we get back down, I think potentially we've got, I'm going to update these a little bit. I'm going to use more recent numbers. So instead of using the pivots from here, I'm using the pivots from the last few days. So we've got a bounce area of 15600, 15613. So these are areas to watch for. So to confirm a rejection, higher risk because we're not far from it at the moment, or we've got a bounce area down at 15600 area. And also you've got this round number 15500, and you can see we kind of got an area of confidence as well, like we had on Qs. So potentially we could watch for a bounce around this area here, 15469 to 15470. Look at oil, how's that responded today? Interesting. This is interesting to look at as well. We've got this pullback here on the, when we're looking at the daily, but we've got decline in volume. So this potentially we've got a area at 80. Look at that, 80 is a nice round number as well. So let's just mark that area as a potential rejection. So yep, based on the volume analysis, I like 80 as a rejection area, and I'm looking at this decline in volume on this pullback, and you can see we've got candlesticks getting smaller, so potentially here is a reversal area. And that's it really. Maybe a double bottom if we get down to 75, but that's 3 days ago. So that's the only place I'm watching for a rejection. And then gold. And let's go back to oil for a second. I'm going to put an alert in because I want to. So this is a daily chart we're looking at, so there's nothing really until we need to get up there. So let's have a look at the hourly. So my alert's in place. Yeah, you can see on the hourly is quite nice. If we pull back into this area, reducing volume on the hourly, you can see that quite clearly here. Let's do it better. Reducing volume down. Although the last hour volume, but then we did have that big number, was a bit of a bigger candle than we've seen on previous days. Oh no, it's not too much. No, it's not irrelevant. Ignore that comment. It's about the same. So that's the area to watch for, and that's the only area I'll watch for on oil. Finally, gold. What we're looking at the daily. You can see again similar decrease in volume on this pullback. So it doesn't look like it. There's no energy behind this pullback. So potentially it's at a rejection area right now. The 20 moving average. If I had to find a rejection area, we've got this high volume node as well, and this point of control coming through. So probably where we are, we're looking at a rejection area. But again, you have to take these areas with confirmation as well. So go down the time frame. Yeah, I quite like this area still, 1978 area for potential rejection, or maybe the hourly 1970 area, this 200 moving average rejection. There's area confluence as well in that area, so all this entire area is area confluence. So what I mean by that is we've got tops of candles, bottoms of candles, bottoms of candles, and it's as many touches I can get on this line as well is what I'm looking for. So 1978 is preferred, so if what we could look for is we get up to this area. I don't use the moving averages as an area of support and resistance, but it's just a guide. But we may see a candlestick and a poke through like that, and then we can look for the rejection as it comes back down that way. So that's with confirmation, and it's gone through the levels we're watching for as well. I think that's it really. I just want to quickly look at the SPY daily, because there was an anomaly on the weekly. Well, there is an anomaly on the weekly. So we've got this big wide range candle, and we've got this smaller narrow range candle, but notice the volume is barely, it's a little bit less. It is reducing volume as well, so it'd be interesting to see. And you can see quite clearly on the weekly as well, we're right at that trend line as well. So today's going to be interesting, so we need to see what's going to happen. So either we're going to break out and then come back down, retest, that's the potential long if you're looking for a swing, or we're just going to outright reject this trend line like we did previously. No reason we can't come back and retest it again for the move back down, and that's exactly what we did up here. We retested it twice and pushed down. So on the daily now, that's what I want to look at. Yeah, it's hard to, unlike when we looked at some oil and gold, you can see decline in volume. It's quite clear here. It's a bit erratic. So that's why I've not favoured a rejection for the last few weeks, definitely for the last week, because the volume is just not said that it wants to be a rejection, and it's just been pushing up. I've been pretty bullish. It's worked in my favour. We've got here a daily 3-bar play, 3-bar play. So potentially a break above 441.20 area, and we could potentially see the push up to that trend line, and maybe the push through to get up to 450. This is an area we're watching, we just spoke about earlier. And let's quickly look at the daily for MES, and then I'm done. We've got 10 minutes till market opens. MES, there is decline in volume, but it's not as convincing again. So decline in volume, and then we had a red day, and funny how the red day we had the bigger volume candle. Then we had a wider range candle, and that was reduced volume. It's actually an anomaly there. So there is weakness, despite what you see with the candles. Then we had a small candle day yesterday. Is that really today? God, look at that candle. You would never think that's today's candle. The market's not even opened yet. And so smaller candle, below average volume. So it'd be interesting to see whether today we get this big wide range candle and on hardly any volume. So that will show weakness as well. But this is the area we're watching for. It's a downward trend line. Last time we hit that trend line, we saw this big reaction down. So potentially we could see this next reaction down. And if you think about it, on the daily, on the weekly, we're still in a downward trend, putting in lower lows, lower highs, lower low. This is the contentious bit now, whether this is a fake breakout and back down, but we'll find out. So play the chart. Right, just recap my levels again on the hourly for MES. So looking at a very high risk rejection at the pre-market high. We're looking for a rejection around 4,500, 4,507, and then we're looking for a bounce and we get back down to 44.28, 44.30. They're the real areas I'm watching for. Anything else, any other levels or any other plays where we see a big sell-off or a big push-up, then I'll play by ear and just come up with the levels as I see them. But these, you can see the levels already on the chart. There's not many rejection areas. If I were to pick a next rejection area, it's quite busy, isn't it? There's a lot. I could put quite a few in here, but if I had to choose one, it would be that area there. 45.33, and I'll fine tune that when I get closer. But that area. So we have got a few areas to wait for rejections, and we've got this couple bounce areas as well. Okay, well, trade safe, and I will see some of you in the trade room, and I'll be back here tomorrow at 8 AM, no, 9 AM Eastern time, or 2